Welcome back, YouTube. Sensei Domino here. Today I'm going to be showing the 1990 Leaf Baseball set. It's a 528 card set split into two series. As usual, I'll show the fronts and the backs of the first few cards. Then I'll just show the front so the video isn't too long. We'll start with card number 1, although it's not really numbered. It's the Leaf set logo. Next we have Mike Henneman. Steve Bedrosian. Mike Scott. Alan Anderson. Rick Sutcliffe. Greg Olson. Kevin Elster. Pete O'Brien. Hall of Famer Carlton Fisk. Joe McGrain. Roger Clemens. Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. Tom Gordon. Todd Benzinger. Hubie Brooks. Roberto Kelly. Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. Mike Boddicker. Roger McDowell. The great Nolan Ryan. John Farrell. Bruce Hurst. Wally Joyner. Greg Maddux. Chris Bosio. John Cerruti. Tim Burke. Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley. Glenn Davis. Jim Abbott. Mike LaValliere. Andres Thomas. Sweet Lou Whitaker. Alvin Davis. Melito Perez. Famer Craig Biggio. Rick Aguilera. Pete Harnish. David Cohn. Scott Gereltz. Jay Howell. Eric King. Pedro Guerrero. Mike Bielecki. Bob Boone. Kevin Brown. Jerry Brown, Mike Scioscia, Chuck Carey, Hall of Famer Wade Boggs, Von Hayes, Tony Fernandez, Dennis Martinez, El Presidente, Tom Candiotti, Andy Bennis, Rob Dibble, Chuck Krim, Hall of Famer John Smoltz, second year, Mike Heath, Kevin Gross, Mark McGuire, Hall of Famer Bert Blyleven, Bob Walk, Mickey Tettleton, Sid Fernandez, Terry Kennedy, Fernando Valenzuela, that's a great image, Don Mattingly, Paul O'Neill, Hall of Famer Robin Yount, Red Saberhagen, Gino Petralli, Brooke Jacoby, Hall of Famer Roberto Alomar, Devon White, Jose Lind, Pat Combs, Dave Steeb, Tim Wallach, Dave Stewart, Eric Anthony rookie. He was a high prospect back in the day. Randy Bush. And checklist. This one features Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson. Jaime Navarro. Tommy Gregg. Frank Tanana. Omar Vizquel. Ivan Calderon. Vince Coleman. Barry Bonds. Randy Milligan. Frank Viola. Matt Williams. Alfredo Griffin. Steve Sachs. Gary Gaetti. Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg. Rest in peace. Danny Tartable. Rafael Palmeiro. Jesse Orozco. Gary Templeton. Frank DePino. Tony Pena. That's a great image. Dickie Thon. Kelly Gruber, Marquise Grissom rookie, Jose Canseco, Mike Blowers, Tom Browning, Greg Vaughn rookie, Oda B. McDowell, Gary Ward, Jay Buhner, Eric Schau, Brian Harvey, Andy Van Slyke, Jeff Ballard, Barry Lyons, Kevin Mitchell, Mike Gallego, Dave Smith, Hall of Famer Kirby Puckett, Jerome Walton, the great Bo Jackson, Harold Baines, Hall of Famer, Scott Bankhead, Ozzie Guillen, Jose Oquendo, John Thompson, Charlie Hayes, Hall of Famer Fred McGriff. Let me go ahead and clear these off real quick. That's the first half of Series 1. Series 2. The second half of Series 1. Chet Lemon. Hall of Famer Gary Carter. Rafael Ramirez. Shane Mack. Mark Grace. Bill Bradley, Dwight Gooden, Dr. K, Harold Reynolds, Scott Fletcher, Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith, Mike Greenwell, Pete Smith, Mark Gubicza, Chris Sabo, Ramon Martinez, Tim Leary, Randy Myers, Jody Reed, Bruce Ruffin, Jeff Russell, Doug Jones, the late great Hall of Fame Tony Gwynn, Mark Langston, Mitch Williams, Wild Thing, Gary Sheffield, Tom Hankey, Anderson, Hall of Famer, rest in peace. Bill Doran. Chuck Finley. Jeff King. Nick Osaski. Cecil Fielder. Dave Valley. Robin Ventura. Jim Deshaies. Juan Berenguer. Craig Worthington. Greg Jeffries. One of the sweetest swings ever, Will Clark. Kirk Gibson. Another checklist, Hall of Famer Carlton Fisk. Bobby Thigpen. John Tudor. Hall of Famer Andre Dawson. Hall of Famer George Brett. Steve Buechele. Joey Albert Bell, rookie. Hall of Famer Eddie Murray. Bob Guerin. Rob Murphy. Tommy Herr. George Bell. Spike Owen. Corey Snyder. Fred Lynn. Eric Davis. Man, he was fun to watch. Hall of Famer Dave Parker, rest in peace. Jeff Blauser. Matt Noakes. Delino DeShields, rookie. Scott Sanderson. Lance Parrish. Bobby Bonilla, Mr. July 1st. One of the best contracts ever negotiated back in the day. Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr., Iron Man. Show you the back. Kevin McReynolds. Robbie Thompson. Tim Belcher. Jesse Barfield. Mariano Duncan. Bill Spires. Frank White. Julio Franco. Greg Swindell. Benito Santiago. Johnny Ray. Sorry about the focus. Gary Reedus. Jeff Parrott. Jimmy Key. Hall of Famer Tim Raines. Carney Lansford. Gerald Young, Gene Larkin, Dan Plesac, Lonnie Smith, Hall of Famer Alan Trammell, Jeffrey Leonard, Sammy Sosa rookie, Todd Zeile rookie, Bill Landrum, Mike Devereaux, Mike Marshall, Jose Uribe, Juan Samuel, Mel Hall, Kent Herbeck, Sean Dunston, Kevin Seitzer, Pete Incaviglia, Sandy Alomar, Bip Roberts, Scott Terry, Dwight Evans, Ricky Jordan, John Olerud rookie, Zane Smith, Walt Weiss, Alvaro Espinoza, Billy Hatcher, Hall of Famer Paul Molitor, Dale Murphy, Dave Bergman, second year Ken Griffey Jr., of course, Hall of Famer, Ed Whitson, Kirk McCaskill, Jay Bell. This was certainly a hot card back in the day. Ben McDonald, big time prospect. Darryl Strawberry, Brett Butler, Terry Steinbach, Ken Caminiti, Dan Gladden, Dwight Smith, Kurt Stillwell, Ruben Sierra, a few more cards of Series 1, Mike Schooler, Lance Johnson, Terry Pendleton, Ellis Burks, Lenny Dykstra, Mookie Wilson, the last card of Series 1, checklist, Nolan Ryan. All right, let me go ahead and clear these off. Move on to Series 2. First card of Series 2. No Hit King, Nolan Ryan. Always love this card. Brian Dubois. Don Robinson. Glenn Wilson. Kevin Tapani, rookie. Marvell Wynn. Billy Ripken. Howard Johnson. Brian Holman. Dan Pasqua. Ken Daly. Jeff Reardon. Jim Presley. Jim Eisenreich. Danny Jackson. Oral Hershiser. Andy Hawkins. Jose Rio. Luis Rivera. John Kruk. Jeff Hewson. Joel Skinner. Jack Clark. Chili Davis. Joe Girardi, rookie. BJ Surhoff. Luis Soho. Tom Foley. Mike Moore. Ken Obergfell. Luis Polonia. Doug Drabeck. This was a big card back in the day. Dave Justice, rookie. Still probably one of the bigger cards in the set. Paul Gibson. Edgar Martinez, Hall of Famer. And the biggest card in this set, no doubt, is the Frank Thomas rookie. I never had this card as a kid, so I'm really happy to have this card now. Probably had every other rookie of his, but not this one. Great card. Next we have Eric Yelding. Greg Gagne. Brad Kaminsk. Sorry about the focus. Seems to be kind of jumpy. Ron Darling. Kevin Bass. Jeff Hamilton. Ron Karkovice. Milt Thompson. Mike Harkey. Mel Stottlemyre. Kenny Rogers, rookie. Mitch Webster. Cal Daniels. Noakes, Dennis Lamp, can't get it to focus, there we go, Ken Howell, Glenn Allen Hill, Dave Martinez, Chris James, Mike Pagliarulo, Hal Morris, Rob Deere, pretty off center, Greg Olson, rookie, Tony Phillips, this is the other great rookie of the set, Larry Walker, Hall of Famer, Ron Hassey, Jack Howell, another really off-center card, John Smiley, Steve Finley, Dave Magadan, Greg Linton, Mickey Hatcher, Lee Guterman, Norm Charlton, Edgar Diaz, Willie Wilson, Bobby Witt, Candy Maldonado, Craig Lefferts, looks like doing it like this helps with the focus, Dante Bichette, Wally Backman, Dennis Cook, Pat Borders, Wallace Johnson, Willie Randolph, Danny Darwin, Al Newman, Mark Knudsen, Joe Baver, Larry Sheets, Mike Jackson, Wayne Edwards, Bernard Gilkey, rookie, Don Slott, Joe Orsulak, John Franco, Jeff Brantley, Mike Morgan, Deion Sanders, rookie. Show the back of that. Terry Leach, Les Lancaster, Storm Davis, Scott Coolbaugh, and another checklist, Ozzie Smith, Hall of Famer, Cecilio Guante, Joey Cora, Willie McGee, Jerry Reed, Darren Dalton, Manny Lee, Honeycutt, Steve Balboni, another really off-center copy, Jack Armstrong, Charlie O'Brien, Ron Gant, Lloyd Mosby, Gene Harris, Joe Carter, really off-center, Scott Bales, R.J. Reynolds, Bob Melvin, Tim Tuffle, John Burkett, Felix Jose, Larry Anderson, David West, Luis Salazar, Mike McFarland, Charlie Huff, Greg Briley, Don Paul, Bryn Smith, Carlos Quintana, Steve Lake, hard-hitting Mark Whitten, rookie, Ed Nunez, Rick Parker, Mark Portugal, Roy Smith, Hector Villanueva, Bob Malacki, Alejandro Pena, Scott Bradley, Ron Kittle, Bob Tewksbury. All right, that's the first half of Series 2. Go ahead and clear that off. Last group of the set. Got Wes Gardner, Ernie Witt, Terry Shumpert, Tim Liana, Chris Gwynn, Tony Gwynn's brother, Jeff Robinson, Scott Scooter, Kevin Romine, Jose De Jesus, Mike Jeffcoat, Rudy Cianez, Mike Dunn, Dick Schofield, Steve Wilson, Bill Kruger, Junior Felix, Drew Hall, Kurt Young, Franklin Stubbs, Hall of Famer Dave Winfield, Rick Reed, Charlie Lee Brandt, Jeff Robinson, Eric Hansen, Barry Jones, Alex Trevino, John Moses, Dave Johnson, Mackie Sasser, Rick Leach, Lenny Harris, Carlos Martinez, Rex Hudler, Domingo Ramos, Gerald Perry, Jeff Russell, Carlos Baerga, I believe that's his rookie. Another checklist, Will Clark, Stan Javier, another card that was really hot back in the day, Kevin Moss, Tom Branansky, Carmelo Martinez, Willie Blair, Andres Galarraga, Bud Black, Greg Harris, Joe Oliver, Greg Brock, Jeff Treadway, Lance McCullers, Dave Schmidt, Todd Burns, Max Venable, Neil Heaton, Mark Williamson, Keith Miller, Mike Lacoste, Jose Offerman, Jim Leyritz, Glenn Braggs, Ron Robinson, Mark Davis, Gary Pettis, Keith Hernandez, Dennis Rasmussen, Mark Eichhorn, Ted Power, Terry Mulholland, Todd Stottlemyre, Jerry Goff, Gene Nelson, Rich Gedman, Brian Harper, Mike Felder, Steve Avery, Hall of Famer Jack Morris, Hall of Famer Randy Johnson, second year, Scott Radinsky, Jose De Leon, Stan Belinda, Brian Holton, Mark Carrion, Trevor Wilson, Mike Sharperson, Alan Mills, John Candelaria, Paul Ossenmacher, Steve Crawford, Brad Arnsberg, Sergio Valdez, Mark Parent, Tom Pagnozzi, Greg Harris, Randy Reddy, Dwayne Ward, Nelson Santavania, Joe Klink, Eric Plunk, Jeff Reed, Teddy Higuera, Joe Hesketh, Dan Petrie, Matt Young, Gerald Clark, John Orton, Scott Ruskin, Chris Hoyles, rookie, Daryl Boston, a few more to go, Francisco Oliveras, Ozzie Canseco, Jose's twin, Xavier Hernandez, Fred Manrique, Sean Bosky, Jeff Montgomery, Jack Doherty, Keith Comstock, Greg Hibbard, Hall of Famer Lee Smith, Dana Kicker, Daryl Ackerfelds, Greg Myers, and the last card, Ryan Sandberg checklist. And I also do have the complete puzzle. It'll be kind of hard to show it, but it's Yogi Berra. That's the top row. And the second row. And the last one. All right, so that's the 1990 Leaf Baseball Complete Set, Series 1 and Series 2. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing that. And until next time, thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.